welcome to our first episode of Starfield with Normal People.
Yes, indeed. My name's Duane.
My name is Michael. And yeah, we wanted to do a gaming podcast for quite a while.
We did.
Wondered what the angle would be, because there's so many out there, but it finally hit us that we're both huge Bethesda fans.
We are, and I said to you, I was like, Michael, there's so much to talk about with Starfield and with Bethesda, their history of all the great games that they've done, and we're such huge fans. Why don't we focus entirely on Starfield? That's what we're going to do. I'm really excited. Yeah. There's so much to talk about. I mean, just the game hasn't even been released yet, and we're like, we have to start today.
Yes.
Because, in fact, as we speak right now, as we record, they're doing a live Q&A with, what are they, some of the developers?
Some of the developers of Starfield are doing a live Q&A, so that'll be some really interesting info to dig into later.
Definitely. Are you the type that wants to, that watches like all the trailers, all the deep dives?
Yes, for a game like this, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, and you know,
Are you worried about spoilers, or?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, we're not going to do spoilers.
Then that's a good thing to bring up, because we are going to avoid spoilers. Here's how we're planning to do this podcast.
Except for the final part of the game. We're going to say that right now. Just kidding. We have no idea.
We're going to blaze through the game, and we're going to
There's a center of the universe that you go to. And
yeah.
Oh, wait, that was that other
That's
game.
No Man's Sky. Yeah. Well, there's an AI threat. Oh, wait, that's Mass Effect. Okay,
oh, yeah.
So here's the thing is, a lot of YouTubers, they want to play through the game really fast and spoil it. And it's like, that's not cool. We're not going to do that. At some point in the future, there will be a time where we say, okay,
right.
We believe
if you're not
everyone,
10 hours in,
yeah, we believe that everyone has probably gotten to a certain point, and we'll be okay talking about that. But for now, we're going to talk about just everything that we know from official sources.
Right. Nothing that isn't already public.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to put our own spin on it. Now, we're both gamers, Michael. We actually formed a gaming company called Normal People.
Yep.
Our background is in film, video, and we do a variety of things in the video game universe, I guess you could say. We've worked with some big companies.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in Normal People, please subscribe. Check out some of our content here on our YouTube channel, and we hope you enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Well, getting down into the nitty-gritty with Starfield. So you're a big Fallout
Huge
guy.
Fallout 3, I can still play that game. I'll get one of my old saves, I'll jump in there, and I'll just start having fun. You can pick up from anywhere. It's because it's open world, like Starfield will be.
Yep.
And I have a question about procedural generation.
Oh,
Not right now, but so in Fallout, I mean, it's a game where you can play through with the story, or you can jump in 10 years later and keep playing. And Fallout 4 is the same way. Like Fallout 4 felt like a bigger, better version of Fallout 3. So I was on board. And then even there was New Vegas, right? Which is a legendary game. In fact, it's probably, I think, the highest rated, even though it's by a separate company.
Obsidian, yeah.
Obsidian. So, I mean, and you recently have gone through and just not replayed, but have continued to play Skyrim.
Yeah, well, I actually created a brand new character.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, it's tough for me to pick up an old character, but I took... In the last few months, I've taken this brand new character all the way to now I'm level 80. Because you have to get to level 78 for a legendary dragon to show up.
Right.
And I wanted to clean up some of the remaining achievements. So that's what I've been doing in preparation for Starfield.
You're the janitor of, what's the Skyrim land? It's Skyrim, right?
It's Skyrim, yeah.
So you're the janitor of Skyrim. Cleaning up. I'm going to clean this town up, or whatever it is.
Oh, I'm cleaning out those storm cloaks.
And you're beheading a lot of people with your broadsword or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that last video you did.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me think. I've been looking at Starfield as a culmination of some of my favorite parts of both Fallout and Skyrim.
Right.
And so, tell me if you feel the same way, but like, I love Fallout for the gunplay and like the sci-fi nature of it, but it's also a very ugly world. Whereas Skyrim is a beautiful world, and it feels more it's more like exploration and wonder. And Starfield,
it's that classic fantasy environments, dragons and snow-capped mountains, and you're right. And Fallout's a very, it's post-nuclear warfare.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere you look, and I feel that I'll be playing, and I'm just like, man, I'm tired of looking at just like desolate trash and like, these poor people.
Concrete blocks,
concrete
like everyone's
and
complaining.
rebar, and it's just like kind of a rough world to spend time in.
I don't know if she has a name, but there's a character we did a video where we kind of made fun of the world of Fallout 4, and she's like, my back hurts, my feet hurt, everything hurts. It's like, all right,
everything hurts and everything's ugly, and you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can build settlements and stuff like that, which there's a lot of construction stuff related in Starfield from what I've seen, right? Like your ship. Let's just start right there. The ship that you can build in Starfield, for those people who want to geek out on crafting, it feels like there's a whole universe of crafting just within the ship. I'm imagining maybe settlements and stuff like that too. You've also played a lot of No Man's Sky. Are you seeing parallels between No Man's Sky and this portion of Starfield? Or
there's a lot of base building in No Man's Sky, and of course there's like the resource gathering. And I want to be careful with how I say this because I don't want to knock No Man's Sky at all. I love that game. I've played over 300 hours of it. But that game, I would build, and then sometimes I'd be like, why am I doing this?
Right. There's no kind of in-game.
There's no why.
Building, or there's no why.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And with Starfield, it feels a little bit more like, oh, I'm building this so I can make money. So, because you can build mining facilities and stuff in Starfield.
Oh, you can. So you can actually build money-generating outposts or colonies. Or
from what we've seen, in not only them showing that you can build something that will mine for resources, but people have spotted a perk or like a trait, something along those lines, for being a business person.
Okay.
So you could operate a business in this game.
Right. Going back to like, earlier when you were talking about like taking great things from either their past games and kind of combining it into Starfield. So like you see a little bit of Fallout, you see Skyrim, what's some of their Elder Scrolls, like some of the earlier games.
Yeah, Oblivion.
You could just see them sitting around in a board meeting and being like, man, I really loved this from Fallout. I really loved this from Skyrim. What if we, take the best of that gameplay and put it in this single game,
It feels like they've learned a lot of lessons from these games. You have like the followers in Skyrim are okay. They're not great. And then the followers in Fallout 4 are so amazing. Nick Valentine, like these are like, they become your friends.
You feel for these characters. We were talking about Nick Valentine in a previous kind of talk that we did.
Yeah.
And how we both love Nick, and he's got such a great personality. He looks cool.
Yeah.
He says great one-liners. So
Piper is a great character.
Piper's great. Yeah. The dog is cool.
They're really, really good, and they feel like actual companions. You like to have them around. They make comments about what's going on.
What's the ogre dude?
I remember Strong. But was he in Fallout 3?
Is he in both? No, he's not.
He's not in both, but
I think he's 4 because he was because I was doing a melee build, and I had him, and he hates when you put on power armor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you're like running around just in a loincloth, basically, like taking missiles to your chest.
Yeah, it's so great too that they all have things that they like and don't like, right? And like Kate, she's a psychopath.
Right.
So if you're gonna play as a total
She'd love
psychopath,
to see you do psychopath stuff.
Oh man, you say rude things to people, you murder people.
You
and
feel her
just,
presence of her watching you, so you're like, I got to be a total baddie.
She just admires it.
Right, and that's going to be clearly something they continue to carry on into Starfield. I'm sure. I mean, because it is such a fun aspect of gameplay with the companion.
Yeah. What's another? I think another lesson I think that they've learned is people have noticed that when you talk to people in Starfield now, the camera zooms in on their face, and I presume, I'm not sure, but I think everything pauses in the background.
Right. So you're not going to get killed by whatever a mob sees you. A death claw.
And so
That's classic.
It's so funny because at first, I'll say this. As excited as I am for Starfield, at first I was not excited about that camera because it reminded me of Oblivion,
right?
And not in a good way.
New Vegas is like that. Like you're playing, all of a sudden it's like you get sucked into it. You're like, oh, I guess I'm having that conversation right now, and it's like I didn't save, or maybe I forget to quick save, and then that's game-changing dialogue.
Yeah.
Usually when you get pulled in, it's like a major character, right? Or a major part of the story.
Yeah. So while I wasn't a fan of that at first, I remember all the funny clips. And hey, it makes for funny clips. But it's not good when you're talking to somebody and it's an important part of the story that you're trying to pass, and there's a death claw. You see him roaming in the background.
What is that going by?
And you're like, oh no, wait for us to stop talking.
Yeah, quick, please. You're just taking whatever option you can.
Okay, tell me what the MacGuffin is. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I'll go get it. Oh no! And then the death claw kills the person, and then it says you failed the mission.
Right.
So I think they are trying to avoid that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a smart move for them to do, absolutely. And I think there's been discussion about how the dialogue trees in like New Vegas, for instance, were very detailed. And then when you got to Fallout 4, they kind of streamlined it. And there was some criticism to how those dialogue trees operated.
Yeah.
People felt it wasn't as RPG. It was more, I guess, kind of dumbed down. But
it really wasn't. And I love Fallout 4 and I can play it endlessly. But I do think this was a misstep. And I'll tell you, the first time I played the game, I didn't notice a problem because I was right along
gleefully playing.
Yeah, and I was making decisions that were in line with what the character wanted to do. But that's the problem, right? I was in line with the character, whereas the game should be, RPGs of this nature should be in line with what you want to do.
Sure.
And right from the get-go, I started a new character. I've talked to the robot butler. I'm blanking on his name. What is
Jeeves? It's something like that, right?
It should be.
Yeah.
Cogsworth.
Yeah.
So I've talked to Cogsworth so many times in the past. I didn't want to do it this time. And he's like, hey, let's go look. Yeah, that's what I should have done. So he's like, hey, let's go look for your son, your wife, and child. And in this particular playthrough, I was like, no, Cogsworth, you're wrong. You're wrong. They're not around. I don't want to do that. And this is where I noticed the problem.
You're on a rail.
The story did not continue until I finally went back to him and said, okay, let's go look for
them. Cogsworth.
Yeah. And so that's I had this moment where I went, oh, that's what everyone was mad about. I get it now.
Yeah. You never really know until you experience it firsthand, the issue. Now,
but Starfield looks like it.
I was just going to say, what did they do? Because I actually haven't seen what they do in dialogue in Starfield.
So
it's not AI. I mean, that's brand new. They couldn't have implemented that in time. But there's probably going to be a mod where, I mean, someone's going to mod it too, which will be mind blowing, I'm sure. But
if it does well, yeah. So here's the thing: is we don't know for sure until the game actually comes out. But from what they've been saying and from what we've seen in the videos, when you talk to people, there are all these options for things to say.
So it's going to be like Baldur's Gate, where you have to just be okay with making a decision. Kind of like real life. It's like you make that decision and you're living with the the fallout of your decision.
Yeah.
So if you go in there with analysis paralysis and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta, what's it called, scum saving now? That was a brand new save scumming. That's a brand new term for me.
Yep.
And I think it's hilarious because I did suffer a little bit from doing that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see if you can. I think I'm gonna go in with the mindset of like, just live with my decisions, because there is so much to explore beyond this little minuscule decision that seems big right now, but probably in the grand scheme of the game is not going to be huge.
I was going to ask you what you were planning to do. I'm going to do the same thing. The first time through, I'm going to make decisions and I'm going to live with the consequences.
Right.
Because that's part of the magic.
It is.
I don't want to... The only thing that I would save scum for is if a upcoming fight looks difficult, you know, but that's not really save scumming, I guess. But there's been some games in the past. So Mass Effect, one of my favorite series. There's been times though where like you think you're gonna say this, and actually maybe Fallout 4. I don't have an example, but maybe Fallout 4 did this where you wanted to respond to somebody in a slightly sarcastic way.
Right, but you were afraid of the consequences.
But then the voice actor's like, not sarcastic, just a jerk. And you're like, I wasn't sure what the tone was going to be. So it's interesting. I think it's a good move to not have a voice actor for your character anymore.
Yeah. Because initially sometimes you hear that voice actor and you're like, that is not me. That's not what I would, or not what I pictured the character sounding like. So I think that's probably an easy early decision they came to. I want to just talk about Todd Howard. We have to mention Todd Howard. I think you said earlier that they're building on all these games. I got to say, like, there's been criticism with any CEO or any leader of a company. Yeah. There's always criticisms, but I feel like Todd Howard has really captained the ship of Bethesda in such a fantastic way. There's been someone who's kind of taken leadership or taken and saying like, this is where the company's going. And then it seems like from the outside, it seems like he's brought in the right people, created, a company that can put these games out. It's been 10 years, right? Well, how long has it been since their last major release?
I want to say 8 years since Fallout 4.
Imagine working for a company with no product. No new product for 8 years. You got to have a lot of focus, leadership, and it's a testament to, I think, again, Todd Howard. I think he's done a great job with building this franchise. And of course, we haven't played the game yet, but based on previous games, when they go live, they're playable right out of the box. I think they're going to be. I have confidence that it'll be a good game.
I do too. And here's the thing is I see a lot of people talking about, be careful with hype. Yeah, true. You got to be careful with hype. You don't want to get too hyped up. But I do not see myself as being overhyped for Starfield. I am very excited for it.
Yeah.
I did buy the collector's edition. Yeah. But here is why. All I expect from the game is that it's as fun as Skyrim or Fallout 4, Fallout 3,
If they accomplish
Oblivion.
that, done deal. I'm in.
I've played so many of their games. I would be shocked if the new one is a complete departure.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will be. It doesn't look like it. All I see from what they've shown are a lot of good decisions based on what they've learned from their past games. And I do want to mention that there's a little bit of a negative thing around Todd at the moment, but it's mostly just like a meme. And I do think it's coming from like some console wars BS, unfortunately.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, it's just, so people are saying like, Todd and his lies. And it's like, if you look back at everything that he said about his games before they came out, none of it is lies. He's just very passionate.
Right.
He might be a little bit hyperbolic about like what the game does.
Sure.
But he's never lied.
And we're always seeing the consumer side of the game. When I worked in development and testing, I played many levels that never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
Right? There were features that got cut because they just didn't work, or they didn't have time, or like the game had to come out by this date. Like, you have responsibilities and deadlines, and sometimes these things that you've been working on for years, and maybe as the CEO or the leader of the company, you're going to hype that because you're excited about it, and then it never sees the actual, gold release. So I get it. I never get too upset. Now, if someone comes out and makes super, crazy claims, tons of them, and then those things are, not what we're seeing in the game, then we can take issue with it. But
I feel like Peter Molyneux did that more.
He did, yeah.
He did that a lot. But
what was Spawn?
Oh, Spore.
Game? Spore.
Yeah.
Right. And bunches of others. Right. He's a visionary in the early gaming space.
Yeah, and I think he is. I like Peter Molyneux. I just think that he had a lot of ideas that didn't actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
But I want to say too, Bethesda. Now I don't work for Bethesda, so I don't know anything about behind closed doors. But I got to say, Bethesda has seemed to avoid any of these awful controversies that are happening at many other game companies.
Definitely.
You're hearing about awful stuff happening at Rockstar, at Ubisoft, at all these other places, and I'm not hearing any of that coming out of Bethesda. And so, if it really is as good of a place to work as it seems like, then I also want to say kudos to that.
Definitely. And I worked at Electronic Arts back in the early aughts in LA, EALA. It was a legendary campus.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was close to the ocean. It was a beautiful, huge building, had a gym, had like a cafeteria, had valet parking, it had soccer field. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? It didn't last. Bethesda, you can see their headquarters, a beautiful headquarters in the teaser videos. You can see here's our lobby or whatever, and it looks like an amazing place to work. So my point is that I think they developed a culture there that probably they pay decent wages. Yeah. Right? They keep the talent there. I don't know, but we don't hear a lot of controversies. Yeah. And that's going to show up in the final game. So all this leads to, good work environment, leads to people that take ownership of individual parts of the game. Like we're talking about the construction aspect of the spaceship. I remember seeing in the deep dive video, the person who was showcased that said, "Hey, this is what I've been working on the last 8 years." Yeah. So it's great to see.
It looks like a product built out of love.
Yeah. And passion, for sure.
Just a bunch of people that are building an experience that they would want to have. Yep. And you can see it. You can see when a game is
when it has passion behind it.
Yeah, and you can also see when a game is built to sell battle passes and skins and stuff like that. And it's refreshing. Like, this game is going to come out based on their past games. There's going to be DLC. And what is their DLC? Usually what Bethesda does is they'll have a DLC that adds stuff to the world, adds stuff to what you can do in the world. They'll add, at some point, they'll have a huge DLC that is a whole other place. Yes. This is just what they usually do. And that's the type of DLC that I'm like, yeah, take my money.
Right. You don't feel bad paying $29.95 for basically 20 more hours of all new content, right? Yeah. Or 40, or depending on how fast you play. Because I remember I still have in Fallout 4... the expansions. I haven't even gotten to them, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play this one, and I just haven't yet.
Yeah, those expansions are really fun, especially the one. So they have 2 brand new locations.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm so far behind. I need to stop just running around meleeing.
You just love running around and punching people.
Right.
But yeah,
punching people's fun.
They have the Nuka World.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, the theme park one. Yep.
Which is pretty good, but my favorite is I want to say, is it Point Lookout?
Okay.
But it's basically a fishing town, like I want to say it's like in Maine or something. But there's like this fog and it totally.
Are there zombies?
There's
zombie-like creatures. There's always zombie-like creatures.
There's some crazy stuff. I want to say there's like some crab people. So like
nice
crab people. Yeah.
I want to talk about the marketing campaign behind this game. Now, a contemporary big budget media thing is the Barbie movie, right?
Right.
$150 million is what they spent. So not a huge budget movie, but definitely a triple A movie, whatever you want to call it. Guess what what the Barbie movie spent on marketing?
I don't even know.
$155 million. So they spent $5 million more on marketing than they did the actual production of the movie.
Right.
It's so important now, especially in film, to market your product effectively. Video games are like that too.
Yep.
And we've seen some incredible marketing from Bethesda. Now, I don't think that they exceeded, I have no idea, but I doubt 8 years to develop this game, paying all that staff, paying the overhead. I mean, this game is hundreds of millions of dollars probably.
Yeah.
What would you say? 500 million, 600, 7, I mean, $800 million to develop this game?
Maybe. I mean they say that it could be less because maybe their team is a little more intimate. Mm-hmm. I know that one of the biggest budgets I'd ever heard of was Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
But
what was that budget? Do you remember?
Offhand, I don't remember.
Right.
Well, the thing is, I think you're right. I think your point, though, is that they're probably not going to do like Barbie and spend more on marketing than on the game. Because I don't think that would be insane. It
doesn't matter because their marketing is killing it. I want to speak to, I think it was a TikTok campaign of animated shorts that were compelling. They were maybe 3 minutes long.
So they probably I think they put them on TikTok, but so I myself caught them on YouTube.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, they were formatted vertical screen at least. Maybe they had multiple formats.
Yeah.
But this is hand-drawn looking animation.
Yeah, it's got kind of like an anime look to it.
Yeah, like kind of a...
Yeah, futuristic.
Mm-hmm. I love these animations that I saw, and they each told a little story. So if you went in completely blind in terms of knowing what the game was about or what it was, you would still want to follow this little story that happened in this animated short. But what I realized after watching them a second and third time, they're revealing cool stuff about the game.
Yes.
Like factions, just gameplay styles, like action, like
I'm seeing
starfighting. I mean,
in those 3 shorts, mm-hmm. I saw 3 different ways to play the game.
Exactly.
Yep. And you have like the criminal underworld. Mm-hmm. You've got the person
parts
that
collector.
The
or the negotiating parts collector
on
person.
Her own.
She's a child character, right?
Yeah, she's younger. She's looking out for
or
herself.
She's
got a picture of her parents.
Mm-hmm.
It seems, and it's like, is she taking care of them? Are they gone? Is she missing? Did she run away? Are they dead? There's so many questions. And then, of course, there's the man who joins the military mm-hmm. and makes a lot of money, but he craves adventure.
He does. He doesn't even want to sit there and drink his whiskey or whatever. No. He wants to get out there and fly. He sees his ship and he's like, I'm going. And that's his.
Finished that whiskey.
I probably would have too.
Yeah. Come on.
Makes you fly better.
Yeah, fly a little better with a little whiskey.
A little more lucid. I don't know, fly casually.
Hey, I fly better.
Yeah.
I fly better
Do you?
with it.
Yeah. I pilot a spacecraft a little bit better after a good...
just a little... Not a lot, just a little...
What's the name of the city? So I do want to jump, maybe I'm jumping here, but we talked a little bit about procedural generation of this universe. But it seems like there are tenants or permanent places, cities, like Atlantis is going to be the first major hub where all quests kind of in the first maybe 10 or 15 hours essentially lead back to Atlantis. It was Atlantis, right?
I believe so. Yeah, like New Atlantis.
The new Atlantis, the big city. So that's a kind of a game within a game, I guess. And then beyond that is like, I just want to go fly out into the universe. I feel like that's going to be procedurally generated like Minecraft, right?
So it seems that they're pulling from an old game that they did called Daggerfall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
So Daggerfall was an early Elder Scrolls game. And I was reading that this game is actually one of the biggest games they've ever created in terms of space. And you weren't actually meant to traverse the entire land because it was way too big. You would actually just go to these points. You could just go to your map and just zoom there. But the point was that
this is pre Elder Scrolls. This is like
it is Elder Scrolls.
Oh, it's Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it's part of Elder Scrolls, but it's before Morrowind. And so like it's really, really old looking and dated. But the what happened was if you wanted to just venture out into the woods or desert or whatever, you could. It was massive.
Right.
And so I believe they're pulling from that, where they can put these cities and points in certain places, so they'll always be there. But the land between them is generated.
That's just so awesome. I mean, you think about that, and it's like, I think that's a thing that I always struggled with Minecraft, is that it didn't feel like a permanent place. Like I always knew in my head that if I just started walking north, it's just going to be building this game, right?
Right, but to be fair, when you go back,
it's the same.
Is still there.
It is the same game.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But I mean, it never had, until you explored that area, it didn't build a like whatever.
It didn't already exist. I know
it didn't. Like the Atlantis wasn't already there as a fully fleshed out city. Whereas in Starfield, we have Atlantis, and we have what was the other city that was kind of the Old West?
There's that's
Altus or something.
I'd have to. Well, I know that. So I'm blanking on that name, but I know that there's Neon, which is the kind of the criminal. It used to be a fishing planet.
Okay.
And the thing is, I think that Starfield will be closer to something like No Man's Sky. And the way that No Man's Sky does it, because you're right about Minecraft. Minecraft, I know, generates as you go, because they would often say, oh, hey, there's a new update for the game. And you can play your old game, and if you walk to a place that you haven't been yet, you'll see new stuff from the update. But No Man's Sky, what's cool is even though it's procedurally generated, it's multiplayer. So if I go to a planet and then my friend goes there, we see the same mountain. The land is formed the same everywhere. So it's kind of like a Minecraft seed, where like you can get your seed number and send it to someone and they'll have the exact same Minecraft world. Right. So I do believe that Starfield is doing that, where it will
generate a seed.
It'll generate this. It's like, yes, it's procedurally generated, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's not creating a brand new thing every time you're there. Like I won't know till we play it, but I do believe that if I go back to a place. Like if I build a base, if I build my home on a planet,
it's going to be there.
It's going to look the same. It's not like the mountains are not going to change.
Right. I think ultimately it doesn't matter. Like, is the gameplay seamless, or does it feel like stuff is getting randomly generated? I don't think it will feel like that. So I think we're going to be fine. But yeah. I mean, I think what it is I'm just impressed by how they can build this game from the inside. I do find that interesting, the technical side of it, and it's great because what it means is there's just going to be new stuff to see infinitely. I mean, you could spend a lot of time. Let's just hope the gameplay makes exploring this stuff fun.
and that's what I'm hearing.
One of the early things was they took out, like we're talking about development things that they took out, was flying was not fun or something like that. Like
they
traveling.
said so traveling, so going from space through the atmosphere and landing, they just decided that it didn't add to the fun of the game.
You're 30 seconds of just like, here comes the landing sequence again. It's like Dagobah and going through clouds and.
I'll tell you one thing. To be fair, I love that aspect of No Man's Sky. I think it is very cool to be in space and to go through the atmosphere and see the planet and then land. It's awesome, but to me, it's different because No Man's Sky is a space sim playground. It's a sandbox.
Right. Starfield is
an
not
RPG.
That. It's an RPG, yeah.
It's a story. It's going to have those elements. The space combat looks amazing. The on the ground, on foot combat looks amazing. It's going to have so many other cool things that it does not bother me that I don't get to see the entire process.
Right. And maybe there's a toggle switch. Maybe it's like, hey, are you into the landing sequence? Because you can toggle that on in your ship controls, and now you get to see it or something like that.
I don't think we'll see that from them, but here's the thing is like, if they ever even toyed with it at all, some modder is going to find the code.
Right. It's already in there just waiting to be like enabled.
Yeah. I think about like Skyrim. They have the mods for open cities. And someone will be like, hey, modded for seamless travel to the planet.
Right.
But yeah, to me, it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to be fun. They're saying that they're erring on the side of fun. That's what I like, because they said with combat, we can try to be realistic. We can try to be, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, is it fun?
What was a game? I was carrying around a rifle. Oh, it was like... It was an indie game, to be fair, but we would find weapon drops, but you couldn't find the ammo, and then you would find ammo casing for that weapon, but you didn't. You had to build the ammo. I mean, it was a really tedious process.
Yeah.
Granted, it was like a survival game, so you would understand that. But to me, it was like it took a little bit of the fun out because I hauled around a sniper rifle for the first 4 hours of gameplay, and finally, I was just like, I'm going to chuck this in a locker.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll find ammo for it later, maybe I won't. But
Dead Poly was probably
it was a very early version of that game, which is a cool game, by the way.
It is cool.
I enjoyed it.
It is cool, but and I like survival games, but the thing is, I have been hearing, there's the early rumors, right?
Online internet rumors?
Yeah, the online internet rumors.
Very reliable, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm hearing a lot of people that are play testing the game are saying that it's huge and fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very important distinction because every time someone talks about how big a game is, the question comes up, okay, it's big, but is it fun?
Right.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, amazing game. I played it. I played the heck out of it. But it is... Sometimes I was like, this game is too big. It's massive. And after a while, I was like, how many more of these freaking islands are there? And how many bases am I going to, take down?
It's not fun.
It got to be a slog. So
did you play Dishonored?
I didn't. That was always on my radar.
It's very small.
Yeah.
But it's very fun.
Yeah.
Like they almost went the other way where you're almost kind of on rails, like an old school first person shooter almost.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is so varied. They put all their effort in the gameplay, so it didn't feel small because you could approach the same room from 20 different ways.
I've heard that that's a game that you play and it's
then
short
replay.
enough, and then you just play again.
Absolutely.
But now I'm going to do this. That's cool.
Yeah, you had mentioned before we started, getting back to combat, zero gravity shells tumbling.
Yes.
That's what we call in film camera sauce, which is like, extra cool stuff that really doesn't push the story forward, but still, it's just awesome.
And what, just for the camera, what we're talking about is this moment where in the direct, they shoot a shotgun and the shell pops out in zero gravity and just goes, just flows. It floats away spinning.
Again, like ownership of whoever weapons design leader was at Bethesda.
Yep.
Spent time on this. It wasn't like the level design guy was also, oh, by the way, can you build us a shotgun? This was like the weapons team or whoever's doing weapons was like, you know what I want to see? I want to see zero-G shells.
Shell cases.
And how many weapons are there? Right? So it's like they had to figure out, even though this looks like a shotgun, it's a Zorbian blaster.
Yeah. Could be a railgun. Could be
the thing still tumbles using the same code or whatever, Right. But it's still, they have to do it for all the weapons, which is impressive.
It's very impressive. And speaking of weapons, like we're seeing the modding system that we saw in Fallout 4, which I loved, so much fun. We're seeing that taken to a whole new level in Starfield.
Right.
I think it almost looks like there's a million guns because I don't know, there might be 10.
There's as many guns as there are spaceships that you can build, right? Yeah. It's like whatever thing that you can combine is going to be apparently possible.
And it was so fun in Fallout 4 to find legendary weapons, right? And it would have some new trait that was just like, whoa, I'm keeping this.
Right.
And it was, I want to say procedurally generated, just in a different way.
That reminded me of a blurb from that video talking about food. So like, are you a foodie? Maybe you enjoy this game. Like people could spend hours growing, selling, eating. I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe you can open a restaurant. It just seems like there's things in this game that maybe traditional RPGs didn't go that far into.
Yeah.
And it's added there as a bonus, so that's exciting.
The food, brings me back to we're talking about survival games. And people modded Skyrim to have survival. They modded Fallout to have survival. And then what did they do? They eventually put it in the game themselves. So now, Skyrim Anniversary Edition, if you get that, it has survival already.
Right.
And I've played it. Now, it gets a little bit annoying when, like, there's say, go across the country now. Go back across the country. But you can, and I say that because there's no fast travel. You can fast travel between the major cities using the cart. So there's still that.
Right.
But let me tell you what I love about survival in Skyrim is Skyrim has these amazing inns and like the tavern, and someone's in there playing music. Yeah. People are sitting around the fire drinking. And in the main game, when you play, how often are you hanging out in there? Almost never.
Right. So this almost opens up like a little element of gameplay, I guess you could call it, or like hanging out or chilling in the tavern or whatever it is.
Absolutely, because with survival, you need to sleep, you got to eat, and you got to stay warm. So what's really cool is that feeling of like your character starts going like
shivering.
He's shivering. And when you get to the inn and the little there's a little sun symbol and then a text that says you are warming up. And then you see that I'm hungry. So you go to the tavern. What do you have to eat? You get something to eat. And I'd like a night. I need to stay the night. I need to sleep.
Right.
That is so good to me. That feeling of I got to get to the next town because the sun is going down and I don't want to freeze to death.
Right. There's motivation. There's impetus to continue on and to get to that next tavern.
So then they also did that in Fallout. They did. You have survival mode, which is they have different elements. It's hardcore. It's really hardcore.
I've never even touched that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be worrying about food. So that's not something that I personally care about, but I get it. I get people that want to play the survival aspect of it.
Yeah. So based on the trend, I've seen it added to Skyrim. I've seen it added to Fallout. I see them talking about all this food in the game in Starfield.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, they're going to have a survival mode.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think any great gaming company will be in tune with the community. So they're keeping an eye on the big mods that millions of people are downloading, right? And they're like, people love this mod. Why don't we put it in the next patch, as an option? So I've seen that time and time again where, gaming companies have taken a user mod and implemented it, and
they're so mod friendly.
They are, yeah. They've I've had dozens of mods on Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and they're
fun.
It adds a whole other element.
It breathes life into the game. Earlier we talked about the animated stories, and actually I have a question for you there. Okay, so we've got those 3 types of people. So to recap, you have the person joining the military, like as a mercenary type character. You got the person that's sort of scrounging on their own, and then you have the person going, exploring the criminal underworld.
Right.
Maybe they're like an undercover cop, or maybe they're just a criminal. Based on just those 3 animated shorts that we've seen so far, which one are you?
Definitely the scrounger. The kind of, it's more of a freedom thing, because I'm not drawn to the missions of the military guy. Go out, we need to attack these people or defend this base or whatever.
Yeah, for glory and honor.
Yeah, that's not me. And then what was the other one? The criminal underground. Yeah. I'm just too good of a person. I feel guilty when I start just hurting innocent people. So I just can't do it. Even in video games, is that weird? Like every once in a while, I'm I'm gonna roll a totally bad character, and I get 5 minutes into it, and I was like, ew, this feels gross.
I don't want to treat.
I don't even enjoy doing it in game.
They don't deserve this.
They have to have a reason for me to hit you with a baseball bat. So, and then give me the smallest reason. Then it's your teeth. But
I was playing Skyrim, and after a while, and I didn't do it because I can't bring myself to. But after a while, there's certain people that you walk into the tavern and they're like, "What? Who are you? Get out of my face!"
Right? They have the slightest amount of attitude.
And I'm like,
you don't know who you're messing with. I've beheaded people.
There's a little part of me that thinks I should kill all the people that are rude to me, and then Skyrim will be only filled with people that are nice.
Twisted.
Yeah, it gets a little weird. When I first role play, I'm gonna be myself.
So which of those 3 would you be drawn to?
I would say the Scrounger as well. That's my character for sure.
It feels like Mad Max. Yeah. It feels like you're going out there. You're completely driven by your own means and wishes and what you want to accomplish. It's the ultimate freedom build, I guess.
And they helped the person that was in distress.
Right. Felt like you were a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a fun character to play. Now I will experiment after the fact with other types of characters. But definitely the first time through, I'm myself.
And you ever play for instance, a goody 2-shoes build, and then you accidentally kill someone who's pivotal in the game, and to that one person, you're the most evil, or the people around.
Yeah.
I accidentally pickpocketed someone, now they hate me or whatever. And it's for some reason, my game save before that was 5 hours before that happened. So I couldn't go back or something. And
You're I can't rectify this. What do I have to do? What do I have to do to tell you I'm sorry?
Right. And you can't kill them because they're friendly to all the other people that are friendly within your village or whatever it is. Yeah. So that's funny.
It's interesting because, I've had playthroughs of Skyrim where I'm just these Stormcloaks, man, they're anti-elf, there's a bunch of racists, but then I've had playthroughs where I'm okay, well now I'm a Nord. Mm-hmm. I'm a Nord, and my character is not racist against the elves, but he doesn't like the Empire. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like the Empire. He doesn't I don't know what those Thalmor are up to. They're shady. So it's like, I will play characters based on who I think that they would be.
Right.
But not
You're still influenced a little bit by the story and by the backgrounds. Speaking of backgrounds, I mean, we have these character backgrounds. Are those different than traits? Are traits in conjunction with the backgrounds? Are backgrounds changeable?
I believe the background is different. Mm-hmm. The traits are changeable. And here's what's really interesting, is they said that I'll say that the trait seems to be like semi-permanent. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by semi is they said that if you decide you don't like a trait, there will be a way to get rid of it. But sometimes it'll be like a mission. Like you might have to do something.
That makes sense. It shouldn't be too easy to completely wipe away your points or whatever the system is to do your traits. But that actually reminded me of, what was I going to say? Something about the traits. I'll have to come back to that.
Well, because we were talking about the backgrounds, and so I do think that the background will be sort of a permanent thing. This is where I come from. Right. This is who I am.
And that you don't change until like the day one of rolling a new character. Like you choose your background, and then that's kind of going to stick with you for the game.
Yeah, I believe so. So traits you'll be able to change, and then it'll be interesting to see how the perks work, because it does, I'll say it leans more Fallout than Skyrim. Because with Skyrim,
I remember what I was going to say.
I'll just say this real quick. Skyrim, you level up your swords and stuff by using swords. Whereas with Fallout, you just earn XP, and then you spend it. Or you get a perk point, and then you spend it on what you want to level up.
Right. I just remember one of the things I really loved about Fallout was not bullet time, but what do they call it?
The action points. You spend
action points. And then Skyrim didn't really have that kind of thing, right? So I think that's where I struggled with Skyrim. I enjoyed the game, what I played of it, but
it'll have kill cams.
I really loved
but it's random.
The fact that you could take your time to pick which enemy you attacked first. Starfield does not have that, right?
We have not. I don't think it's built in as a like you always do.
Fundamental gameplay feature or something. Okay.
But I would be interested to see if it's a perk.
Action is more first person or third person shooter. So when you encounter a baddie, it's going to be like you're strafing, and you're not just hitting your Q or whatever button to get you into bullet time, and then be like have a bar going down as you decide, which am I going to blow their hand off, or am I going to
like what
shoot
am
them
I
in the
going to target? Well, and I would almost think that there might be a perk somewhere down the line that lets you do something similar to that.
Please,
I would love
that.
Cool. That'd be cool.
That would appeal to me for sure.
Even Skyrim has a dragon shout that slows down time.
Right.
It actually is. I don't know how useful it is. I guess maybe against bosses, but it is fun. I was just having fun as a very leveled up character. You slow down time, and they're like this. You run up and you just go hack, 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 dead. He's still not moving. The blood kind of comes out and pauses. And then you run up to the second guy and you're like, hack, 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 dead. Third guy, hack, hack, hack. And then it unfreezes and all three of them go, ugh, and they like die. And that is really fun. So let's talk about, they've teased abilities. They've teased magic abilities that we believe a lot of people it's like dragon
supernatural abilities. Okay.
It seems what we're putting together is that you'll find artifacts that are like these intelligent life.
Because it's all humans that we're encountering so far.
It's all humans.
It's kind of playing into that NASA punk, did they call it? Or steampunk, right?
Well, they call it NASA punk.
Yeah.
I fully believe that this game is a first contact type game.
Right.
Where it's like, is there intelligent life or not? Will we see it? Are they long dead? They've just left behind these artifacts. There's a huge mystery around this.
The aliens look like Mac and me.
I hope so.
Look it up.
Anyone who's a Paul Rudd fan knows
Yes.
Mac and me.
Aren't we all Paul Rudd fans?
So yeah, I think that we're going to have these. Well, they teased. He had a gravity power. Mm-hmm. He put his hand out, and everyone started floating.
Awesome.
And, so I think all the fans that are watching, basically believe it's probably going to be tied to finding these artifacts.
Right.
It's going to give us space magic.
Space magic.
And
it's not the Force, okay? Don't call it the Force.
Not the Force. Nope. It's totally.
It's a magical space artifact that ties all the energy in the universe together, and you can harness it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we have a lot to look forward to.
We do, yeah. Well, let me ask you this real quick. So, having seen, you said that you watched whatever you can watch.
Yeah.
Having seen all the stuff that you can see before the game is actually out, what is one thing that you're most looking forward to, if there is one thing that you can pinpoint?
I think, and yeah, like you said, it's hard to pinpoint because it's just I love everything. Mm-hmm. It's because it's a collection of all my favorite things from a lot of my favorite games.
How about the fan service of the annoying kid too?
The fan,
yeah, the fan service of the fan.
The fan, the adoring fan.
Adoring fan.
And it's the same voice actor.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
the one in Oblivion.
Oh, that's great.
He posted on social. He was very excited to be back. But yeah, I'll say I love base building.
Okay.
So this entire time I've been like, oh, I can't wait to choose, because this is how I play No Man's Sky. Choose a beautiful planet that I like to look out. Maybe it's all covered in snow. Maybe it's jungle.
Yeah.
And then I build a base and I admire my creation, and that's how I play No Man's Sky. And here's what's very exciting. I was already thinking that's what I'm going to do in Starfield, and I will. But then
sounds like you can build a mobile base too. Your base is your ship or whatever.
Yeah, which you can do on No Man's Sky as well. But the thing is, somebody had a picture of the city, New Atlantis. Mm-hmm. And somebody just happened to mention, oh, I can't wait to build my house off in a distance, looking at the city and seeing the ships fly in and go out.
That's
and
cool.
I was like, wow, it changed my perspective on, obviously I'm going to do the barren planet as well, but the idea of having your home and sitting out, on the porch, basically, and watching the ships fly in.
That is very cool.
That's my kind
You're
of
not going to show me pictures of your No Man's Sky base on your phone, hold it up and...
I mean, I've done that.
I know. Don't show me anymore. Base building is super fun. I do that in Fallout too, and it's fun. My thing is aliens machine guns. The scene from Aliens where they put the machine guns in the hall.
Yeah,
and that is my favorite thing to do. Is build a base, put a fence around it, and put machine guns, and then just sit back and listen to those beautiful machine guns taking out anyone who dares attack my base. So it's really tower defense is what I find fun.
Yeah. Oh, if there's a tower defense aspect, that'll be amazing.
Right.
So
put some on my ship as I'm flying through, just auto machine guns, space machine guns.
Well, what is that? What you're most excited, or do you have another?
I haven't actually seen that type of gameplay. I think what I'm most excited about, is humor. Bethesda does humor so well. They can do sarcasm.
Yep.
They can do subversive humor. So I'm really looking forward to just laughing and being like, oh my gosh, this character is killing me. And we're talking about the adoring fan, just stuff like that, where it's a little tongue-in-cheek, it's a video game. Have fun with it. Baldur's Gate, I haven't actually played it. It probably has humor in it, but
it does. It's not got a ton.
I don't know if it's going to be as funny as Starfield because Bethesda.
I've actually heard the opposite. I've actually heard people complaining that there's too much comedy in Baldur's Gate 3. But I haven't played it.
Now I need to play it.
I haven't played it. So
I have it on my computer ready to go.
Okay, there you go.
I have to find the time to do it, but
but
that's good. I'm happy to hear that.
But you're right. Skyrim and Fallout, they don't really advertise the humor in the marketing materials, except the adoring fan. But you're right. Like once you get into play, you find skeletons in funny positions. Right. You find
these little Easter eggs and storylines that are funny or heartbreaking or whatever it is.
Yeah, so. You hit the nail on the head. Because you'll go into a room and you'll just be like figuring it out. You get to be a detective in Bethesda games, right? Because you get into a vault or you get into a cabin and you go, what happened here? Yeah. And you read logs.
Gary.
You start to
Gary happened here.
You start to read and you start to put together the pieces, and either you end up saying, "Oh, that's funny," or you go, "Oh, that's really sad.
Dark.
Like that's so dark."
So much cannibalism.
Oh man, yeah. So
or experiments, or or even just like the famous door within a door that led to some graffiti.
Oh, right.
So stuff like that. Like there's going to be secrets that will be funny, and I don't know, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we will be uncovering these secrets for quite some time after the game comes out. So, stick around with us. Please, please, please subscribe and hang out and leave a comment. What are you most excited about for Starfield?
Tell us what you're excited about in the comments and maybe a specific feature, or is there something that you said, I hate this? Or, what is this? Why do they have this in the game? I really haven't seen anything like that personally, but maybe you saw something like that. If there is, comment down below and hit like, subscribe, and
we'll address it.
Yeah, so thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we're going to do this every week. I think maybe we'll release on Fridays.
Probably,
does that sound good?
let's probably,
Thursdays?
I think Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, let's do Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging out, and this has been Starfield with normal people. I'm Duane, and this is Michael.
Yep.
And I guess we'll see you next time.